Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, what is the word today?
The word of the day is sunshine.
Why is that?
Because there's sunshine outside.
Oh, okay.
But we're inside here, so I don't get to see it.
That's true. You can't really tell that there's sunshine. You keep
it blacked out down here. I don't even know if it's daytime, nighttime.
The studio has to be blacked out.
Yeah, but I'm doing good, man.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I am too. I am ready to get into a mysterious unsolved case today.
Yes.
But let's give some Patreon shout-outs first.
Okay.
We had Aaron Morales.
Thank you.
Natasha Skian.
Thank you, Skian.
Jared Foster jumped up to our highest level.
Thank you.
Marcy Thrash.
Thank you, Thrash.
Laura Layton.
Thanks, Laura.
Megan Collins.
Thank you, Megan.
Sarah Monroe. Samantha, no last name.
Just Samantha.
Just Samantha.
We should give people last names.
Just make them up.
Yeah.
Tommy Schlichting.
Thank you, Tommy.
Vicky Terry came out at our highest level. We had Mary DeLellis.
DeLellis.
Orla McGrath.
McGrath.
Nicole.
McGrath or McGrath?
McGrath.
McGrath?
TH.
TH. Gotcha.
We have some of the coolest names.
We do.
I mean, we don't.
No.
Our names are very plain.
No, but they do.
But our listeners do. We had Nicole Flynn.
Thanks, Nicole.
Eric Pinnowell.
Yeah.
Michelle Hamilton.
Like the play, Hamilton?
Like the play that you have not seen.
No, I don't see it.
Nor have I.
No, I'm too busy.
I'm too busy, and I would never spend that amount of money.
Yeah. I can just sing it
I'm
myself.
sure it's good. Why don't you sing us a little bit of it?
Then it would be off the hook, man.
Angela Dalton.
Oh, I think of Dalton. What's the thing you think of when you hear that? Angela Dalton.
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Dalton.
Doing roundhouse kicks.
If I had a son, I think I'd name him Dalton.
Dalton.
Brandy Matthews. Terry Tokovich.
Thank you all.
Julie Watt.
Say what?
Say what? Kiera Mitchell.
Kara or Carrie?
Kiera.
Oh, say it again.
Kiera.
Kiera.
Mm-hmm. Is that blowing your mind?
It is. Mind has been blown.
Why?
Kiera.
Kiera.
Yeah.
You've heard the name before.
It's like that song.
What song's that?
You
going back to the 80s?
I am.
Kiera Lesa. I don't know how you say it. But that's old school, man.
It is old school.
All right, and if we go back into the vault.
Okay.
This week we selected Jolene Piercy.
Jolene. Sing it.
Jolene. Been with us a long time.
Yeah, thank you, Jolene.
Very much appreciated. And we appreciate all of our new Patreon supporters.
I actually appreciate them more than you do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we have a meter here in the studio that measures appreciation.
Yeah, mine's off the
hooks. It's off the Chizart.
Yeah, or that. Okay.
Huh. I've been listening to my daughters talk too much, and it's not a good thing, believe me.
No, not at all.
And then we had some PayPal support as well. We had Mira Seppi.
Thank you, Mira.
Jennifer Warmoth.
Warmoth. I like that name.
You're putting some real strange
yeah.
emphases on syllables. We had Terrence Tokovich.
Man, taking it up a double notch?
Well, I assume it's the same person.
If not, that was just a luck duck. Wow, lucky. The name's two different people.
It has to be the same person.
I think so, too.
But
thank you.
Did Patreon and PayPal at the same time?
Yeah.
We had Maria Fojo.
Oh, yeah, Maria. Social media. I've been messaging her.
Yeah. She supports us. Supports criminology as well.
Yeah,
she's been big supporter.
She's been posting.
Molly Ahern.
Thanks, Molly.
And Molly made her donation, reached out to me. Her sister, Katie Bonfa, is a Patreon supporter.
Yeah.
She's a huge fan of the show.
Sure.
So is Molly, but Molly wanted me to say to Katie,
yeah,
number one, happy birthday. She just had a birthday.
Right.
But Molly wanted me to tell her that she's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
And she wrote it that way.
Yeah.
So
happy birthday.
Mm-hmm. Belated, but yes.
Belated. And you're awesome.
Exactly.
And if that was a dig from your sister onto you, then we'll just say you're awesome.
No, I guarantee it wasn't.
I think it was something pretty sweet.
It was sisterly love.
Sisterly love. I wonder if it will be returned.
I thought you were going to say reunited and it feels so good.
Yeah, that was a good song back in the day.
It was.
When you got your woman next to you.
Your woman. Is that how you talk?
No.
I mean, you talk, old so-and-so, my woman, gals.
My woman.
Won't you get into the 21st century? You had your woman next to you?
I do, man. I do. Get my woman.
No, I know none of it's disrespectful. I'm just messing with you.
She knew who she was.
Does she? I doubt she does, because I imagine the list is pretty long.
Wow.
There's like 50 women out there thinking he's talking about me.
Wasn't I sitting with him on the couch back in 1980, 78, 80? What was that song?
And it was definitely in the 70s, I think.
Yeah. Good times.
Were you even old enough to be sitting on a couch with a female?
With a woman?
With a woman?
Well, you've seen The Graduate, right?
I have seen The Graduate. I actually like The Graduate very much.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's my mother's favorite movie.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. She made me watch it when I was little, which was very strange.
That is, it's jacked up, man. I'm sorry. I know your mom listens.
No, it's always been her favorite movie. She wanted me to watch it with her. When I say little, I mean, I wasn't like a kid, but
yeah,
I was still a teenager.
Well, that's all right. You can learn something from that.
Yeah, I mean, I had to make my appointment right after that to get some counseling, but I've always liked the movie.
Sure, you just didn't look at your friend's moms the same way ever again.
Exactly.
All
right. Now, as this episode is out, so is a new episode of True Crime All the Time.
Yeah.
We're talking about Joseph Paul Franklin.
You are. Or you are more than I am.
I am more than you, but you got your moments.
That's what it's all about.
It's always, for you, it's always quality over quantity.
Oh,
I respect that about you.
I'm all about quality.
I respect that.
Just remember that when you listen to the podcast, it's all about Gibby and his quality.
But Joseph Paul Franklin, serial killer with, some motivations that are different than most killers that we talk about. Everything for him that he did and the murders that he committed was racially motivated. He had read Mein Kampf, he got into the Nazi party, white supremacists, and then the whole story just takes off from there.
Yeah.
But to hear him talk, Gibbs, and there are a number of clips of him talking, I don't know about him.
He's jacked up.
Yeah, he was, for sure. Let's get into this episode of Unsolved.
Yeah, let's do it.
We are talking about the Short family. So we're going back to August 15th, 2002. It was a Thursday. It was a very hot August day in Virginia.
Summertime, man.
In the heat, the heart of it.
Yeah.
In Virginia.
It's like lemonade stand on the side of the road kind of heat.
How many times do you see a lemonade stand on the side of the road?
A lot.
Now, what do we mean by road? I've seen them like in a subdivision with some kids. I'm not like like a county road. All of a sudden, I just stop and see a lemonade stand.
Two little kids sitting out there
out in the middle of nowhere.
Nobody around. Two little kids in a pitcher of lemonade.
I would stop. I do like a good lemonade.
Yeah.
But on this August 15th day, Michael and Mary Short of Bassett, Virginia, were found dead. Michael was 50 years old. Mary was 36 years old. They were both shot in the head, execution style. They were left in separate rooms within their house. Michael was on a couch in the garage, and Mary was in a bedroom. Now, the phone line to the Short house had been cut, and their 9-year-old daughter, Jennifer, was missing. So the parents are dead. The 9-year-old daughter is missing. There was a lot of news coverage on this case. Went national. There was an Amber Alert put out for Jennifer. There were a lot of people searching for Jennifer. There was a lot of hope that they would find Jennifer alive. But unfortunately, that would not be the case. Because about 6 weeks later, on September 25th, the remains of Jennifer Short were found by some people out walking their dogs in the neighboring state of North Carolina. Like her parents, Jennifer had been shot in the head and then had been dumped in a creek in Rockingham County. This is about 50 miles south of her home in Virginia. No one has ever been arrested for the murders of the Short family. And Gibbs, this was such a cold execution style set of murders. There was a family involved. There was a child involved. It seemed very calculated. The phone line was cut in advance. The perpetrator or perpetrators left little to no evidence behind at the crime scene. And then you have the question of, why was Jennifer removed from the house? And I think this is a question that has stumped investigators. You know, they've had a lot of theories that they've gone back and forth on, between the suspect's primary motive being the abduction of Jennifer or it being the murder of her parents. And I can see why that would be tough for investigators to figure out. You know, if Jennifer had been found at the home like her parents, you would most likely think that one of the parents was probably the target, and she was killed simply for the fact that she was there. But with her being taken and found 50 miles away, you really have to wonder, who's the real target?
Yeah, you would. The sad part is like when they found her body, Jennifer's, you know, because it was 6 weeks later, it was too heavily decomposed to even tell if she was even sexually assaulted. So, I mean, at that point, all they knew was the gunshot.
Right. So you don't know if that was a motive, possibly, because you don't know what exactly happened. But let's walk through the case in detail. So we know Michael and Mary are found dead in their home on August 15th. And their home was on US 220, fairly busy highway. The house was described as a red brick home surrounded by motels and service stations.
So busy area, you know, so a lot of people coming and going, and locals and probably a lot of non-locals.
Well, it does seem strange. It's almost as if their house was, this residential house was in the middle of a commercial area, the way it was described.
Yeah. You know, and Michael ran a tough business. You know, he ran a mobile home moving business. So, which it's hard to get people to do this work. So you could have some, how do I want to say this? I mean, you could have some rough individuals that are going to help you out, right? Because it's not something that is consistent work. So you're going to go to these areas or pull from your own area to go get these mobile homes and move them where they need to be. So, and it's a lot of time it's a cash business. So, you know, you got to kind of be careful. You know, you're talking about dealing with some large sums of cash, and maybe not some individuals that you would typically bring into your place of employment. Does that make sense?
No, it does. You know, if what I'm hearing you say, if what I'm hearing is correct, you're saying that tough to find people to do this type of work.
Yeah.
So the pool that you have to pick from is smaller than it would be for other types of employment. So you're going to have to go outside the box maybe a little bit, and maybe overlook some records.
Yes.
Or things like that to get people to do it.
Yeah, it might be some history there that
sure.
You're willing to accept that, knowing that you're not going to get the job done without accepting that.
Yep. Michael and Mary were discovered by one of Michael's employees who came by the house, saw his body in the enclosed garage. It was more like a carport, but we'll call it a garage/carport. We talked about the Amber Alert that was issued for Jennifer. It was later reported that Jennifer's bed was empty and the sheets were pulled back on the bed. So I think the theory is that she did sleep in her bed, was probably taken from her bed. And I don't know that for a fact, Gibbs, but you know, the bed wasn't made. Not everybody makes their bed, but make of it what you will.
You don't make your bed every morning?
I do not. Why would I make the bed if I'm just going to sleep in it again later that night?
Yeah. You don't even like straighten it up a little bit?
No.
No?
No, and nobody ever goes into my bedroom. I never understood the purpose of it.
Does your wife like straighten up her side?
Oh, my
only?
wife makes the bed every day.
Oh, she does.
I don't make it.
Oh, I got you.
And would never make it, have never made it in my entire life.
Never will.
Don't understand the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
It's not like I have a cavalcade of people traipsing through my bedroom every day.
Did you say
Cavalcade.
Yeah.
I know I got to stop using words.
Cavalcade.
It's not. There's no B in it.
Cavalcade. What
There's
did
no
you say?
T.
Let me hear it again.
Caval
Oh, caval.
with a V. Cavalcade.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
You said cavalcade.
Yeah.
But I've never understood it. But anyway, getting back to Jennifer. I think this is part of the police theory, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Where else would she be taken from? She was at the house, so she was probably asleep in her bed. Now, on August 19th, 2002, police revealed that they had removed 64 items from the Short home during their investigation. This included two 22 caliber shell casings, which were found near the bodies of Michael and Mary Short. The funerals for Michael and Mary were held on August 22nd, 2002. And remember, at this point, they hadn't found Jennifer yet. But then in a move, Gibbs, that I find very strange, they exhumed Michael Short's remains just a couple of weeks after he was buried. It was September 4th for forensic purposes. I mean, they had the body just weeks before.
Yeah, it would be frustrating for any surviving family members, brothers, cousins, whatever, to have to see that happen. You just put them in the ground. Now you're bringing them back up.
I mean, I get it if something comes up 10 years, 5 years, 10 years after the fact, some new evidence, something new comes to light, you need to exhume a body to, check some type of evidence. This is just a few weeks after the funeral. It's really only about 3 weeks after the murder. I just don't get it. And this fueled a lot of speculation. And part of the speculation surrounded a theory that people thought the police were attempting to determine the paternity of Jennifer Short. Now, police denied these claims. They said the exhumation was to obtain hair samples that had not been taken during the autopsy. Again, why would you not take these during the autopsy?
It could be like autopsy 101, coroner 101, right?
You would think. I'm not a medical investigator. We probably have people listening that are. And this is not 1945, right? This is 2002.
Right.
I think the playbook on these types of investigations is probably pretty good at this point in time.
Or just watch CSI, you would have seen.
I know everything with you comes back to CSI. But it's strange, right?
Yeah, I think it's strange.
Now, if somebody made a mistake, I get that. Right? I make mistakes all the time. These people are human that do these jobs. Maybe somebody forgot to do it.
Could have been.
But it looked strange to people, to the populace, and it fueled a lot of theories and speculations, no doubt about it. And then Sheriff Frank Castle of Henry County, Virginia, he came out and made a statement that caused even more speculation and rumors to swirl. He said that police knew the paternity results of Jennifer Short, but he would not say whether or not the tests proved that Michael Short was indeed the father of Jennifer Short. Now, what they would say is that Mary Short was the biological mother of Jennifer, and he went on to say that the results regarding Michael would be one of the last things they would release. And he gave the reasoning for withholding the information that it was extremely important in this case. So think about that, Gibbs. I mean, you're hearing this guy say these things. It's very mysterious.
It really is.
On the one hand, they're saying we didn't exhume Michael Short's body to determine paternity, but then they're talking about it a lot. Now, Castle would say they had the results before they even exhumed the body. Now, on September 19th, 2002, investigators requested information from Mary Short's co-workers, and at the same time, they released some photographs of her in an attempt to get some new leads. And in talking to previous co-workers of Mary Short, authorities find out about an incident that occurred in the 1992-1993 timeframe when a man apparently harassed Mary at the Pluma plant where she worked. Apparently, this individual was told to leave the parking lot of the plant on several occasions. So he would have been, whoever this was, Gibbs, would have been a person of interest, I would imagine, to police.
I would think so. He'd have to be.
Now, this happened, probably 10 years prior to the murder, but it was a bit of information that they didn't know, came from some of her coworkers. They would want to find out who this guy is, and they would want to question him.
I mean, you got to go after every lead, man.
You do.
Until you get something to bite on.
And a person that is harassing somebody that ultimately ends up dead, you've got to talk to that person. They would have to be a person of interest. So we talked about Jennifer Short being found in September, 50 miles away from her home in Rockingham County, North Carolina. It was about a week later, October 4th, 2002, when they were able to confirm that these remains were actually Jennifer. Because as you mentioned, Gibbs, by the time they found her body, it was very badly decomposed.
Yeah, absolutely. Too far for them to do any quality testing on.
But the one thing that they could tell was that she had been shot in the head. The FBI released a memo seeking information about an unknown male that had been parked along U.S. Highway 220 near the Short home on the early morning hours of August 15, 2002. They got some information about this individual from a witness. They developed a composite sketch. The witness also described the truck that they saw. So the description of the man was that he had a weathered complexion. He appeared to be somewhere in his 40s. And then you talk about this truck. It was described as a white single cab flatbed truck, late 90s, early 2000 model. But when you look at the composite sketch of the truck, this is a weird truck to me. It looks like an old-timey truck. It has the wooden rails on the side.
Yeah, it looks like one of those old lumber trucks is what it looks like to me.
It doesn't look like a truck that you would see in the late 90s or the early 2000s that had just come out. Maybe they did, but this looks like, for me, like a truck from the 40s or the 50s.
Yeah, I think, they try to reference it, that maybe for just reference point, it could be something like a 4500 series international, flatbed truck. But no, you're right. It looks like something that they would haul the ice around back in the 30s,
right?
And
right with the wooden rails,
yeah,
on the back of the bed,
or something. John Boy would have drove the lumber down to the neighbors.
Exactly. But the FBI was very interested to find out information about this man. And this memo that they put out, I mean, it's very detailed. It has the composite sketch of the truck. It has the composite sketch of this individual, details of both which were given by an eyewitness. And it also says in the memo that they want to talk to people that worked for Michael Short in his mobile home moving business, like you talked about, Gibbs.
Yeah.
And they actually say, these people probably worked on a weekly or a day-to-day basis. They could possibly have been migrant workers. And many of these individuals most likely worked on a cash basis. The memo talks about wanting to identify any people who saw or were in contact with Mary or Michael Short between August 1st of 2002 and August 14th.
Work takes up most of your time. That's why you should use Stamps.com to save time with your mailing and shipping. Stamps.com will simplify your postage needs and add valuable time back into your workday, so you have flexibility to focus on more important things. Stamps.com can handle your mailing and shipping needs with rates up to 88% off UPS and USPS. Send invoices, checks, certified mail, packages, and anything else you need to keep your business running with Stamps.com. If you sell online, connecting with every major marketplace and shopping cart is easy. Plus, you can schedule package pickups through their dashboard and automatically see your cheapest and fastest shipping options from different carriers with Stamps.com's Rate Advisor. Add more flexibility to your workday with Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com/program to sign up for a special offer. No contract, cancel anytime. That's Stamps.com/program.
So they're actively asking people that had any contact with the Shorts to reach out to investigators. They also want people that had contact with Jennifer Short between June 1st and August 14th of 2002 to reach out. And they're asking for, coaches, teachers, friends, parents of friends, neighbors, anyone that would have had some type of contact with Jennifer, whether it was at a softball game, church, a birthday party. They wanted to hear from these people. And you can actually go out and review this FBI memo. And it's signed by none other than Robert Mueller, who at the time was the director of the FBI. And I don't think I need to elaborate the fact that he's been in the news quite a bit over the last couple of years. But even though they put so much work into, trying to figure out who this man was, they were never able to identify him. They were never able to find a vehicle that matched the description around the area. But the timing is very interesting. And you have to wonder, could this have been the killer? And if not the killer, could it have been someone who had information, saw something,
exactly,
could break this case wide open,
or had any other type of play into this,
And that's why the FBI, they wanted to figure out who this was so badly.
They just want to have a conversation with the guy.
But unfortunately, they were never able to. All right, Gibbs, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor, Madison Reed. This is the company that's revolutionizing the way that women color their hair. Amy Errett created Madison Reed because she believes that women deserve better than just the status quo. And for a long time, women have had just a few options: outdated at-home hair color or the time and expense of going to a salon. So with Madison Reed, you get the quality of salon color, but you get the convenience and the affordability of at-home hair color. They use an ammonia-free formula with ingredients that you can feel really good about. My wife has used Madison Reed. My mother-in-law has used Madison Reed. They both raved about the quality and how easy the process was. So you'll look like you just came from a salon, but you're going to have a lot more money in your pocket. You can experience beautiful, multi-dimensional hair color delivered to your door on your schedule for just under $25. So join the hundreds of thousands of women that have tried and loved Madison Reed. You can find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com. And right now they're giving our listeners 10% off plus free shipping on their first color kit. All you have to do is go to madison-reed.com, use our promo code Unsolved. That's madison-reed.com, promo code Unsolved. All right, Gibbs, let's talk about some theories. Let's talk about persons of interest. And the first person to talk about is a man by the name of Garrison Bowman. At the time, he was 60 years old, lived in North Carolina. And this is a man who had allegedly had a dispute with Michael Short. And it was Bowman's landlord that told investigators that Garrison Bowman had complained that he had paid a man in Virginia to move his mobile home, and that if he didn't move it or return his money, he would have to kill him. So this is what the landlord allegedly said Garrison Bowman said. Bowman also lived near the area where Jennifer's body was found, but he had moved to Canada just a day after the murders occurred. So none of that looks good.
No, it doesn't.
It was reported that Bowman had allegedly pulled a gun on the landlord on the day of the murders, and that he also put a false floor in his van.
That's interesting, right? Because what would you need a false floor for? I mean, unless you're going to hide, you're going to hide something or somebody in it.
Sure. Again, all of this is alleged, but it's very interesting. No doubt about that. It was also reported by numerous outlets that Bowman's landlord had found a map of Virginia in the house that Garrison Bowman rented that was marked with the location of the Shorts' house. And again, Gibbs, if that is true, it's very damning evidence.
I thought so when I read and researched,
But again, a lot of these allegations are just that, allegations. We don't know how much of this is actually true, because in a case like that, you don't know. I mean, what if there was a dispute between Bowman and the landlord? Is that a situation where somebody would want to say some negative things about someone? Sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's damning, but it's all of this stuff is circumstantial, right? It would be circumstantial evidence, and all provided essentially by one person, this guy's landlord. Now, as for Garrison Bowman, he maintained that he had never met Michael or any of the Short family. His home and possessions were searched. Police didn't find any solid evidence linking him to the murders. And for that fact, they didn't even find any evidence linking him to the family.
Maybe just wrong place, wrong time.
Maybe that, or like I said, somebody had a grudge against him and was trying to
set him up,
give some information to police that was making him look guilty. But in 2007, the FBI came out and confirmed that Garrison Bowman was no longer considered a suspect. So they checked him out. And how horrible would that be? Again, I don't know if this guy did anything, but let's say he didn't. How horrible would it be to get wrapped up into a murder investigation because, let's say, you had a fight or you had a dispute with somebody like your landlord,
right?
And they started saying a bunch of stuff about you that wasn't true. Now, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, how horrible would that be?
It would be terrible, man, because now you're, on track to be the guilty person and headed off to prison for the rest of your life.
And either way, you have to defend yourself, and, your name's out there in the media. It definitely wouldn't be good.
No.
And then we get back to this guy that harassed Mary Short at the factory where she worked. And again, like I said, this happened about 10 years prior to the murders, but it became somewhat of a popular theory among theorists as far as that goes. And I think the police did initially pursue it. People wondered whether this unidentified stalker was really the biological father of Jennifer Short. But I think, Gibbs, this theory or this line was ultimately dropped by police, right? They weren't focusing on this after a certain period of time.
Right.
It just didn't go anywhere. They couldn't put anything together on it. Police came out and said, in this case, we've collected since 2002 about 1,100 pieces of evidence, actual physical evidence. We've conducted several thousand interviews. We've got thousands and thousands of leads. Those numbers are staggering.
That is. And I'm guessing for that, small community, it's going to be hard to work all those leads to get through them. But they will. That I'm sure they have at this point, right? No doubt.
Just 1,100 pieces of physical evidence alone seems like a lot. Now, somebody's going to say that's probably nothing.
But then again,
in a
every
murder case.
I guess a piece of evidence could just be hair follicle.
Oh, it could be anything.
So
Sure,
yeah.
it could be a piece of lint that they don't know exactly.
So I can see the numbers racking up.
Yeah, I guess they would rack up pretty quickly. But 1,100, when you just say it out loud, sounds like a very, very large number.
It does.
Now, we've talked about Frank Castle, the sheriff, and this whole kind of controversy or rumor, speculation mill that he stirred up around the paternity of Jennifer Short. After Jennifer's remains were recovered, he came out and confirmed that Michael Short was indeed the biological father of Jennifer Short. And he actually offered an apology to the relatives of the Shorts and gave an explanation as to why they didn't want the information out publicly at the time. He offered up the explanation that the authorities were afraid that if Jennifer's abductor was her biological father, or someone that thought they were her biological father, they would kill her. They would dispose of her body, knowing that the police were pursuing the thought that this was all around paternity. So I get that. I mean, he made a decision. Now, it angered the Short family, but there was some reasoning behind it. Now, it turns out that Michael Short was the biological father, so there was no danger of that. But I guess this is a chance that, he didn't want to take. And he would go on to say the following: "We did what we did. I would risk anything to save a little girl's life. But she's gone now. She's safe now. No evil can befall her." So I guess I get that, Gibbs. I get the fact that, he didn't want to make a mistake. He didn't want to cause Jennifer's death by something that he released to the public, information that he released.
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense to me.
But obviously, after she was found, he's able to come out and say what he did and why he did it. Now, what's strange about Frank Castle is that about 5 years after this, in 2007, he would plead guilty in a case not related to the Short murders.
No, but still, not good news.
Yeah, he pled guilty to making a false statement to the FBI. And it was related to some corruption charges that went back all the way to 1998. And there was a DEA investigation that found that Castle and 12 of his deputies were dealing crack cocaine, marijuana, ketamine.
Special K. It's bad stuff, man.
They were all charged. And essentially it was said that the sheriff's department was a major part of the drug trade, as well as some money laundering in Henry County, Virginia.
This is where I want to play the Dukes of Hazzard theme song. Just some good old boys. And they just got mixed up in some bad stuff.
Yeah, but it's, if you remember, the Dukes of Hazzard's good old boys never doing no harm.
Oh, that's true. This is doing some harm.
This is doing some harm.
Yeah. Crack cocaine, no good. Special K, no good.
Crack is whack.
Crack is whack.
And don't you ever forget it.
The marijuana stuff, I mean, that's like legal through, half the states now, it seems like?
Yeah, I don't know how many states it's legal in.
You got medical marijuana is legal
in a lot of states.
More. Yeah, but I mean, in other states, you got marijuana it's legal. So,
but you talk about crack cocaine, you talk about ketamine.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm trying to remember ketamine. I know they call it Special K on the streets, but is ketamine
I thought it was
a
like
horse,
a horse tranquilizer?
Yeah, I think
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah,
I don't know what it does for humans, and I don't want to find out either, to be honest with you. So this was unrelated to the Short case, but it was a case of police corruption. And after it came out, you had a lot of people asking themselves, Gibbs, did this corruption have anything to do with the mystery surrounding the deaths of the Shorts? Because one of the things that came out during these corruption trials was how quick the sheriff's office was to protect criminals, Because remember, some of these criminals they're essentially in bed with, they were quick to protect them from the FBI. So the question was asked, could someone in the department have had something to do with covering up maybe?
I mean, anything's possible, right?
The murder of the Shorts.
Yeah.
Maybe they knew who did it, and because it was a person that they were affiliated with in all of these illegal activities, they covered it up.
Yeah, they were kind of felt like an obligation, or
Well,
not
they
even
would-
obligation, but more of a, I need you to take care of this for me, or otherwise.
That's what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
would be obligated. Once you get in bed with a criminal in that type of operation, you can't have that criminal go down.
No.
Because once they get charged, what's the first thing that they might do?
Oh, of course.
They might roll on you.
Why wouldn't they? Loyalty is no longer existent
No.
in the criminal arena.
Just think about what kind of deal you can make if you've got all this information on a bunch of crooked cops. You might get a pretty sweet deal.
Probably would. I mean, if you are a criminal today, you are trying to gain all that information, so you have it in your back pocket. You might need it one day. Pull that card out.
So I think that's a legitimate question that people were asking. And if they didn't completely fabricate or cover up anything, did it affect the investigation in another way? Because they were focused on all this criminal activity, did they just do a very poor, sloppy job in the investigation? I think that's another question you could ask. And relatives of the Shorts came out as early as 2003. So this would have been, 4 years probably before these charges came to light. But they came out in 2003 making statements that they believed police may have destroyed crucial evidence. And this is based on the fact that they thought way too many people were allowed in and around the house after the bodies were found. And obviously there are certain law enforcement personnel that need to be in the house, but you want to try to limit it to those that are essential.
Yeah, and we've had so many cases we've done over the last year and a half, and we've heard this, on a few of them before, where it's just done, I just use the word unprofessional. When it comes to crime scene investigation, it just is handled very poorly. And at that point, it just, as a prosecutor, you would hate to see that, because, at that point, you just gave the defense plenty of ammo to discredit anything that you're going to throw out there. Anything.
Yeah, especially if you actually find the person that you believe that did it.
Sure.
I don't claim to be an expert in that arena. The one thing I do know is that it needs to be very meticulous, right? That type of forensic work, there's protocols. It needs to be very meticulous. I mean, you can't have people walking through the crime scene destroying evidence. And I don't know that happened, but the relatives of the Shorts sure thought it did.
Yeah, I mean, they have their reasons, and they're going to, continue to stick with that, because unless you're there and you can actually visually see what happened, what are you going to do? You have your thoughts, they have theirs, and that's what it is.
But Gibbs, the Shorts were remembered as a private family that enjoyed being together. Michael was described as a loving, caring husband, father. He would never miss his daughter's softball games. He was a happy guy.
Well, that says a lot, when as a parent, if you're not missing your kids' games, I mean, sometimes you can't help it.
Sure.
But he was in business, and he was willing to, and, when you run your own business, you have flexibility, but you're still, I mean, you're putting in 12, 14-hour days when you run your own business. But he was still willing to pull out, and get over and make sure he got to watch, Jennifer practice and play, which is cool.
Well, it's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Right? You have the flexibility, but if you're going to use that time for something else, you're going to have to make it up. It's not...
No doubt about it.
You're going to have to make it back up, and that's a sacrifice as a parent that you make, and he made that.
Yeah, and I think that's great, man. I wish more parents could do that.
Jennifer was described as shy, but extremely polite.
Yeah.
and very close to her parents. She loved softball. We've mentioned that a couple times. One neighbor described Jennifer as a bottle of joy. And I think that's pretty descriptive.
That is good. Yeah, I like that.
Family, friends, and neighbors, I mean, they all came out, Gibbs, and said, this was your typical all-American family, good neighbors,
Yeah.
good relatives, whatever it is, good sons, good brothers, good friends. I don't know why anyone would want to kill them.
Just getting up every morning and doing what they're supposed to do, running his business, daughter doing the school stuff. I mean, playing activities. Maybe the killers were going after Michael or the adults, but why the daughter? Why the 9-year-old? I mean, besides being a witness to it, but still, I mean, you have to be, as a killer, it's low, but as a killer to kill a kid, I don't think there's anything lower than that, man. I mean, that's just a whole nother. I think there's people on death row that be like, I thought I was bad, but you killed a kid, really? You know what I mean?
You gotta be a cold-hearted son of a bitch to kill a little girl like that. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and that's when I say little girl, I mean that's a little girl that has a voice and can say things to you, and is telling you, please don't, and you still do it. You have to be like a soulless person.
But I think it's probably the reason why it makes this case hard to solve. None of the family, friends, neighbors, no one could come up with a reason for the murders. Nobody said that anybody had anything against this family. Right? So where do you start? The police are still accepting information related to the murders. Obviously, they will continue to do so. But this case has gone cold. I mean, the whole community in Henry County was affected by these murders. The reverend who conducted the memorial service for the family in 2003 said the case is still open. It's still an infected wound that can't heal. And I think that's very descriptive, Gibbs, and it will probably always be that way for many people, especially the family, but even friends and neighbors and people, anybody that knew the Shorts. There will always be something that it's almost like a hole that will never be closed until they either solve this case, they figure out who did it, figure out something. But the case is now, Gibbs, 16 years old. Like I mentioned, it's cold, but it doesn't mean that they've given up on it. They try to get the story out in front of the public whenever they can, because you never know. Right? Somebody may hear the details, see things in print, somebody that all of a sudden, maybe they didn't know that much about the case, but now all of a sudden they remembered one crucial detail. And I think that's true in a lot of these unsolved cases that we do. These cold case investigators, although they have a lot of cases, they're working on a lot of things, they don't forget about these cases. They may have to shelve them for a little while and work on something else, but they always come back to them. And they're always, I think, in the back of their minds. The new sheriff has said that he doesn't want to leave a single stone unturned on this case. And he goes on to say, Gibbs, and it's kind of something like what you and I have said, there's always that one piece. And he likens it to a jigsaw puzzle, right? You're missing the one piece. And once you find it, it makes everything fit. But unfortunately, what he's also said is right now, they're not just missing one piece. He said, we don't even have the box. So we don't know which piece we're missing.
Yeah, and that's always the problem, right? Because
it is.
How do you know what to look for?
Yeah. Using that analogy of a jigsaw puzzle, if you don't have the box to go off of, it makes it much tougher.
Yeah, you don't know what the picture's supposed to look like.
Right. You're working in the dark. And Gibbs, I want to play this clip about Jennifer.
Today, teddy bears, flowers, and angels adorning the bridge where Jennifer was found, and that now bears her name. The Rockingham County Sheriff's Office asking the public again for any new information that could help solve the Short family killings.
Nobody deserves to be treated like that. But they deserve justice. The community expects it. We expect it. We want to bring those responsible to justice or involved in this murder, and we want to have closure for the family.
Well, Sheriff Page says that no detail is too insignificant, that investigators look into every tip. So to give him a call if you have any information. You can also call the Sheriff's Office in Henry County, or you can call Crime Stoppers if you wish to remain anonymous.
So that's not even in Virginia, right? That is in North Carolina where Jennifer's body was found.
Yeah.
They named the bridge after her.
I think for a memorial, that's really nice. You know, I mean, it's a way for her to not be forgotten. And, you know, will this ever be solved? Who knows? I mean, we know today with some of the things that, you know, Mike, you've talked about with all this DNA stuff coming out with the East Area Rapist and some of the other new events that are come to focus with the Doodler and the Pinyon Pine unsolved murders now being solved. I mean, I just think that you can't ever say nothing will be solved now. You just, you know, I really think that if they got 1,100 pieces of evidence, physical evidence, that there could be something in there that could eventually tie this back to, you know, who did this. I hope.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to some evidence that ties it, or you have somebody comes forward with information. It seems like recently some of these unsolved cases are being solved using physical evidence that they already had, but they're figuring out new ways to use them and new techniques. So, Gibbs, that is it. That's the case of the Short family. Got some voicemails.
Yeah.
Want to hear those?
Absolutely.
Hey, Mike and Gibby. This is Casey Poshinger, Global via Indianapolis, calling again. I was just listening to the Kathleen Gibson case, and in the beginning, and oh my gosh, I'm so heartbroken to hear, Mike, that you are a Kentucky fan. I won't hold that against you, me being from Louisville and actually going to U of L, die-hard U of L fan, go Cards. Sorry, but gotta stick with them. Anyway, just wanted to give you all a call saying that they did heartbreak me, but I will continue to listen to the show anyway because I still love you all. So anyway, keep it up and keep your own time ticking. Bye, guys.
All right. Always love voicemails from U of L fans.
Yeah, she really would hate the studio.
She would.
Because it's just nothing but UK stuff all over.
It's like I always said, why can't just, UK and U of L fans get along?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of either one, so.
So you're totally fine.
I'm good.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you both how much I love the podcast. I'm a tough critic to let you know there's only 3 that I love to listen to. And out of those 3, one is True Crime All the Time, and the other one is True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So that should tell you if by episode 1 it doesn't grab me, I'm sorry, I move on. And I really enjoy listening to you guys. I love how Gibby wants every person who has gone out of jail that has killed someone, how he wants them to maybe give you a call. It's just too funny. Anywho, I know Gibby's your partner, but I like that name for a sidekick. It's a good sidekick name. Okay, keep up the good work. Thank y'all for all you do. Bye-bye.
All right, great voicemail. Now, to be fair,
yeah,
Gibby, you don't just want people that have gotten out of jail to call. You want people that are still in jail to figure out a way to call.
You're listening to this.
Right.
Use your cigarettes, your pop, whatever. Buy some extra phone time. Give us a call. Let's talk, Call the hotline. Leave your number. We can call you back. You probably got a cell phone. You can anymore. You can get a cell phone in there. I know there's places that you can have people bring it into you. I'm not saying you should do it. Don't get more time put on, but get that cell phone in there. Give the number to us. We'll call you, record. It'd be good. Good for the podcast and good for you to vent. And if you're out and you got some deep history, reach out and Mike can have a cup of coffee with you, and I'll call in from a.
I was going to say, how you putting me in the
I'll call in from
undisclosed location?
Yeah, no, I'll come meet.
Sure. I would also say, I too think Gibby is a great name of a sidekick.
You see, that's what I am, your sidekick. What are you talking about? That's why you have the big chair. I've got the small chair. Everything is organized to make sure that we know what the role is right now.
We have the exact same chair.
Okay.
How many times do I have to cover this?
That's why we never go live in the studio, folks. He doesn't want you to see.
That is not
He's
true.
got the big computer, big, gigantic monitors. What I got like a little Chrome Google book. A Google Chromebook.
Chrome Google book?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about as big as my hand.
It's not my fault that you made a poor purchasing decision.
I'm just saying.
I told you what to get.
I'm just letting you know.
Hi, this is Julie from Mississippi. I don't believe I've heard anyone from Mississippi yet. Wanted to say hello to Mike and the Gibster. That's what I call you, buddy. And tell you guys that I love what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Keep up the great work. I have been listening to you guys for a while, and I'm looking forward to moving over to Undisclosed. After I'm caught up with this one, I'm going to go over there and hit it hot and heavy. Y'all keep up the good work and keep your own time ticking. Bye.
So I put the voicemail on Unsolved on purpose.
Yeah.
So that when she gets there, she'll hear it.
And she'll be like, oh, it's Unsolved.
I think she meant Unsolved.
She did.
But Undisclosed is actually another podcast.
Yeah.
So
either way, she's hot and heavy for it, which is good.
That is good.
And Gibster, Gibby, Gibberama.
I call you Gibster sometimes too.
Yeah, there's all many different names.
And Gibby, this is your favorite kidney donor, Laura Clark. Just calling to say, hey, I haven't ever called in before, but just wanted to call and let you know that still listening to your podcast faithfully. I enjoy both the TCAT and the TCAT Unsolved. I listen to them faithfully while I'm at work on Monday mornings typically. But I just wanted to call y'all today because today is my 6-month kidneyversary. It was 6 months ago today that I donated a kidney to the gentleman that obviously that got my kidney, and just wanted to call to report that he's doing well, and I'm going in today for my 6-month follow-up, and everything should be on the up and up for me as well. So just wanted to tell you thanks for everything that you do, and I appreciate it. And of course, like everybody else always signs off, keep your own time ticking, boss.
Boss. I like when she added boss to the end of it.
That's good.
Obviously, she's talking to me.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
But no, I mean, what an amazing person, right?
No, I know. That's
what she did. I thought that was awesome.
I can't believe it's been 6 months.
I can't either. Time flies, man.
It seems like not that long ago that we were talking about it.
Who knows where we'll be in 6 months from now?
Exactly. But we do think that Laura is amazing.
Yes.
And what she did was amazing.
Awesome.
So, and we're glad to hear that you're doing great.
Yeah. Glad you're feeling better.
Hey there, Mike and Gibby. This is Chris from Arizona. I just wanted to call and let you guys know I love the show. You're both great. I love Gibby's accents and money conversions. I also wanted to offer a few suggestions for some Arizona serial killers. The first one being the Baseline Killer in 2006. The other being the serial shooter operating in 2005, 2006. It was actually two separate serial killers. And finally, I wanted to give you guys an update on the Pinyon Pines murders. You had an episode a while back about in True Crime All the Time Unsolved. As of just a few days ago, Robert Pate was found guilty of second-degree murder for killing Becky Friedley. And both Robert Pate and Christian Smith were found guilty of first-degree murder for killing Becky Friedley's mother, Vicky Friedley, and her boyfriend, John Hayward. And that's it. Just wanted to let you guys know, who loves you, baby? Keep your own time a-ticking.
He went Telly Savalas on us.
He did, man.
That was awesome.
That was good. What a good voicemail.
It was. It was a great voicemail. You alluded to the Pinyon Pines being solved.
Oh,
that was such a gruesome...
It was terrible.
Set of murders.
Yeah.
So awesome that they were able to, solve that case.
Like how it all ties in and finally gets cleared up. It's nice, man.
Yep, it really is.
Hey, y'all. This is Amy from Virginia. I've called a couple times but I've reached like a new level of obsession with your podcast, so I needed to let you guys know about it. So I used to have a car that I could like listen to your podcast via Bluetooth and my phone and all that good stuff. And then I had an accident and I don't have that car anymore, so I kind of have this old clunker. And I'm just lucky it has a radio in it, period. There's no Bluetooth. There's no, let me see. I've still got a tape player in here, if you guys will recall those. So this is how pathetic I am. I have actually taken to wearing shirts, only shirts, with pockets in them, because I want to be able to put my phone in my pocket and listen to it while I'm driving so that I can listen to your podcasts on my phone. I just wanted you guys to know that you've forever changed my wardrobe now, because that's like the only thing I wear. I recently found myself not buying clothing because they didn't have a pocket in the front that I could put my phone in and listen to. Yeah. So anyway, I thought you guys should know that I'm completely hooked on your podcast and that you're awesome. All right. So with that said, keep up the good work. Keep your fingers crossed that I get a new car soon with Bluetooth capability, and keep your own time ticking. Bye, guys.
I love that voicemail gives when I heard it.
I'm just going to suggest they make these things called headphones that are
Bluetooth.
Or use the Apple cord that comes with it that plugs into your ears, and you can set the phone down if you want to change your wardrobe. But I think it's cute.
The Apple, you mean like the headphones? Like,
Yeah.
Those are headphones too.
Yeah, but they're wired.
Oh, they're wired. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what I know what she's saying.
Yeah, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I just like messing with her.
You're just shitting on her point.
Hey. She's talking about 8-track. She didn't go 8-track tape at least.
No, I know. She said, if you guys
Cassette.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
remember that really well.
Gibby remembers 8 tracks.
That's right. 8-track, baby.
Hi, Mike and Gibby. This is Nicole calling from the Rockford, Illinois area, and I just want to say a huge thank you for the mug. I've been kind of repping my own merch for a while now, so this is wonderful. Just had to let you know that I love the show, and I was glad to meet you guys at CrimeCon, even if I could only afford one day, but I'm saving up for 2019 to hang out with y'all. Anyway, great show. Thank you so much for listening to your fans, and of course, keep your own time ticking.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Nicole. And Nicole actually made her own True Crime All the Time mug.
She did.
Sent us a picture of it.
Yes.
And we just felt obligated. We had to send her one of our True Crime All the Time mugs.
Yeah.
Because she was repping us on her own. It was her own creation.
It was a good attempt, but clearly needed to have an official.
Well, it's pretty hard to make your own mug.
Yeah. But A for effort.
Yeah. So awesome. Thanks, Nicole. All right. And that is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So from Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.